How many times this week did you check your news feed? How many climate disaster headlines did you scroll past? A 2021 Lancet study found that 59% of young people globally report extreme worry about the state of the climate. In Hong Kong, that number is even higher, reaching 67% among university students. We are the generation that grew up with climate change as background noise, and now it's become the raw we can't ignore. As to delve deeper into university students' thoughts, we surveyed 54 students regarding happiness amidst climate crisis. The results are honestly alarming and hard to ignore. First, almost 80% of students feel at least some level of eco-anxiety, and nearly half worry about climate change often or very often, which means this is not a distant issue, but something that lives in their minds week after week. At the same time, more than 90% believe Hong Kong is already being affected by climate crisis. Yet, many still struggle to change their lifestyles because of financial constraints, lack of convenient sustainable options, and uncertainty about the effectiveness of changing such habits. What is striking is that 81.5% think the Hong Kong government and authorities should take the lead on climate action. When we asked about hope for humanity's future, a large share stayed in the neutral or even pessimistic range, with only a small minority feeling very optimistic. This gap between high anxiety, clear awareness, and limited hope shows a generation that feels the crisis deeply, but is not sure the system will change fast enough, unless people like us step up and act together now. But here's what I want to ask you. When we are drowning in anxiety about the future, are we asking the right question? Our parents were promised a simple formula. Study hard, get a good job, buy a house, have a family so you can be happy. Success was measured in GDP, in consumption, in growth that could only go one direction: up. But here's the problem. In Hong Kong especially, we have followed that formula perfectly. And yet, we are less happy than ever. We work longer hours for less job security, we are more anxious about the future. And we are starting to realize that formula was never going to work in a world with finite resources.
So, have you ever thought about why Hong Kong teenagers are easily unhappy? Indeed, in such a fast-paced city, chasing for success and recognition, facing high competitiveness in academic aspects can be possible factors. However, this can be explained in the lens of Buddhism. Buddhism feels life is central with the Four Noble Truths. All life is suffering. Suffering comes from craving. Suffering can cease through the cessation of craving, and the Noble Eightfold Path leads to the end of suffering. It believes that the world is in constant flux, and suffering stems from clinging to the belief in an unchanging self. This doesn't mean there is no joy. In teenage year, with continuous physical, emotional, and social changes, an underlying unsatisfactoriness exists. As for Hong Kong teenagers, Buddhism would point to the source of their suffering from attachment and desire. The first explanation is a desire for specific outcomes and futures. Buddhists believe that suffering doesn't arise from not getting what you want, but from the attachment to the desire itself. When reality does not meet our expectations, we will feel disappointed, anxious, and frustrated. Hong Kong's competitive environment creates a huge pressure for teenagers. Starting from a young age, Hong Kong's teenagers are handed a life script. Scoring high in public exam and having a decent job will result in a bright future. The script isn't a hope, it becomes a bundle. Their self-worths become attached to this single, narrow path, in which having a specific future equals success. The fear of failing in this expectation leads to constant anxiety. Even if they meet the expected outcome, they cannot experience joy in the present moment. Everything that happens beyond their planned track are seen as distractions from their plan, triggering intense fear. The suffering they encounter isn't just in fail, but also in the relentless worry about the possibility of the future. Then, the desire for material and social recognition also led to the unhappiness of Hong Kong teenagers. Desire is a thirst which can never be quenched. The Buddhists believe that pleasure sought by a mind infected with cravings only increase new and greater desires, and even for non-existence. It won't bring real satisfaction, but only results in ongoing discontent. Success in Hong Kong is often measured by material possession and social validation. Having the latest phone model means you are wealthy and following the trend. Gaining the most likes and comments on social media means you are popular. Therefore, teenagers experience a desire to have a more affluent material life and a more attractive lifestyle portrayed on social media. This creates a comparison trap, where their sense of self-worth becoming having more than what others have, or living a life which is better than the others to gain social acceptance. Once unable, they will fall into an anxiety cycle and keep fostering feelings of inadequacy and unhappiness. The unhappiness of Hong Kong's youngsters can also be seen in the attachment to a fixed identity and ego. Buddhism mentions that the belief in a solid, independent self or ego is an illusion. Attaching to them is a primary source of suffering, as everything is impermanent and interdependent. Giving up these beliefs is fundamental for getting rid from such delusions and suffering. As many parents in Hong Kong grew up in the post-war period, a time saturated with poverty and struggle, their sense of duty was lifting the family out of economic hardship by achieving academic glory and high social status. This perception is brought to the next generation. Therefore, the ego that Hong Kong teenagers cling is to also being the dutiful son or daughter who will bring glory to their family. The identity creates a heavy burden. Any academic stumble isn't simply failure. It is a betrayal of this constructed self, resulting in the fear of losing face and disappointment to their family. This creates a suffering which is linked to the constant pressure of maintaining a performance that suits the portrayal of themselves. Finally, excluding difficulties and negative emotions, suffering is also caused by aversion, our desire to suppress or escape from unpleasant experiences, feelings, or people. Buddhists believe we cannot always control the first error in life, yet the second error is our reaction to the first, which is optional. It can be understood as the first error is the pain itself, and the second error is our aversion to it. In a high-achieving and fast-paced environment like Hong Kong, negative emotions are often seen as inconvenient, unproductive, and a sign of weakness. This caused teenagers to deem having negative emotions as a sign of failing easily. Hence, their action of feeling sad and feeling guilty for it is actually shooting themselves with the second arrow constantly, creating an adverse loop of suffering.
However, these phenomena can be solved by the suggestion of Buddhism to achieve happiness by building a strong mentality. It is normal for youngsters to undergo immense physical and psychological changes, leading to confusion, anxiety, and anger. Unlike Western views attributing happiness to external circumstance, Buddhism deems happiness as independent and external conditions and achievable through mental training. To step on the path to happiness, teenagers should first correct their view of reality by understanding the nature of suffering. They should first acknowledge that all pleasant moments are temporary and shift their perspective from seeking worldly gratification to liberation to end the cycle of suffering. Then they need to cultivate the mind of giving up outside relationships and illusory desires through spiritual and mindfulness practice, which includes meditation and physical exercises. These can turn their attention away from outside crave towards their own mental and spiritual processes. Therefore, they can calm their mind and develop deep concentration within themselves. Finally, they should cultivate a desireless life. The ideal state that Buddhism advocates is to give up every illusory desire of happiness, not to feel good, but to be free. By doing this, they can develop greater control over their thoughts, which allows them to act more autonomously and be less affected by outsiders. This form of autonomy involves more ethical self-regulation and increasing mindfulness, contributing to achieve genuine happiness and freedom of suffering. So how can Hong Kong youth achieve happiness by using the Buddhist concept? To begin with, exercising the brain through meditation. Buddhists believe that meditation allows a person to focus inward and lift his soul. It cultivates mindfulness, concentration, and attention moment to moment reality without desire, attach, and cravings. It deepens a person's understanding of impermanence and non-self, which are the central cause of suffering. Start with 5 to 10 minutes daily instead of aiming for a 1 hour session. Try mindful minutes at any time, anywhere. Close your eyes and focus only on the feeling of your breath. Ask yourself, what are you feeling? Where is the feeling in your body? Can you accept its existence? Create space between you and the negative emotion. Recognize it. Then respond to it. Press the pause button when you're feeling a wave of stress or anxiety during studying or socializing, and notice if your mind wanders to worries. Acknowledge that without judgment and gently bring your focus back to what you're doing at the moment. You see all the desires and negative emotions is just a temporary pattern in your body, not something must be obeyed. Then cultivate generosity. In Buddhist thought, generosity is the foundation of happiness. It is a mental attitude fostering open-heartedness and freedom from selfishness, attachment, and craving, all of which cause suffering. Generosity is a direct antidote to Hong Kong teenagers' relentless desire for more, better grades, more likes, and newer gadgets. The act of generosity breaks the mental habit of clinging. When you give something away, you are engaging in non attachment. You are telling your mind that you and your happiness are not defined by what you own. Share the notes and knowledge you have with your peers. Break the fear of not being enough. Give out your likes on social media. Shift the attention from self focus to genuine engagement with others. Denote what you have, transforming the energy of wanting into the power of giving. Immediately reflect after the act. You will likely feel a quiet joy. You rewire your brain to see generosity not as a duty, but a direct path to your inner peace and happiness.
Imagine one person's consciousness awakening, realizing the urgency, feeling the anxiety, yet choosing hope anyway. Then another follows, and another. This is not a distant dream. This is how transformation begins. One awakening at a time, each ripple touching the next, building into something powerful. Here's what Buddhism teaches us. All life is interconnected. Your mind, your actions, the air you breathe, the earth beneath your feet, these are not separate things. They are threads in a single living whole. And here's the truth that changes everything. The way you care for the earth is a direct reflection of what resides in your own heart. The climate crisis is not something happening out there, disconnected from us. It's a mirror. It reflects a crisis of the human mind, rooted in greed, in ignorance, in our disconnection from the true nature of reality. Our research revealed something striking. Young people are experiencing profound eco-anxiety. But this is where Buddhism offers something the news cycle cannot. It offers a path beyond despair. In Buddhist term, this is right action, living ethically, in harmony with nature, recognizing a simple truth that changes everything. Harming the environment is harming ourselves. Here's the real revolution. Happiness in a time of crisis does not come from accumulation. It comes from redefining what success even means.
Success is choosing connection over consumption, presence over panic. It is living fully and meaningfully not despite the limits of this planet, but because we understand them. Whether or not we solve every climate challenge, and we must try, happiness still comes from within. It flows from cultivating peace, from generosity, from understanding your place in the web of life. So I ask you this, what does a good life look like within the limits of this planet? What small acts can you begin today that ripple outward, beyond fear, before inertia, toward hope?
Here is what you need to know. The butterfly effect is real. Your choice matters. Right now, in this moment, in your classroom, your families, your communities. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to carry the weight of solving everything alone. You only need to start, waking up each day and living the answer to that question. Because this is how we reclaim meaning in a time of crisis, not through anxiety or paralysis, through a mindful collective awakening. Together, we build a future that holds space for joy, even, especially, amid challenges. Together, we choose to begin.